Hello world. In today's video, we'll be discussing Austrian economics and Keynesian economics. These schools of thoughts have sculpted economic landscapes of nations across the world and have also sparked fiery debates. We will be exploring the fundamentals of these theories and try to understand what is a fiscal and monetary policy that underpins them. So let's dive right in. Welcome to CoinVerge. In this channel, we try to understand cryptocurrencies and the underlying academics behind them. So mainly computer science and economics. If that sounds interesting to you, make sure to subscribe so you're up to date from the latest from the channel. Without further ado, let's get into Austrian and Keynesian economics. Let's start with Austrian economics. This school of thought was kickstarted by Karl Menger in the late 19th century. The fundamental principle of Austrian economics relies on individual decision-making, unhampered markets, and time as the primary drivers of economic prosperity. Austrian economists see economic downturns just as a part of the cycle. They believe they're often triggered by imbalances such as overinvestment. They argue that markets are fundamentally sound and can correct themselves over time, and in fact, any actual government intervention can delay the recovery. They more so align with the classical belief of a self-correcting economy. Though government intervention may be well-intentioned, Austrian economists believe that it's always going to negatively impact the economy. Austrians firmly believe in the importance of sound money. This is money that retains its value and isn't easily manipulated with policy decisions. They often argue for a return to the gold standard or some form of hard money. Modern economists on this side of the aisle are the ones that support a Bitcoin standard. A great book to understand this principle is The Bitcoin Standard by Saif Dinamos. I'm going to leave a link in the description so you can check it out. Austrians believe that the central bank's tendency to manipulate money supply is what leads to boom and bust cycles. On the fiscal side, Austrians are generally opposed to high government spending and high taxation. They believe the individual makes better decisions on how to save, spend, and invest money than the government does. That wraps up the Austrian side. If you've stuck around so far and managed to learn something, make sure to drop a like. I heard it really helps the algorithm. Now let's dive into Keynesian economics, born from the legendary mind of John Maynard Keynes. It was created from the ashes of the Great Depression. Keynesian economists often advocate for a more interventionist approach and believe that government spending can actually help stimulate the economy in economic downturns. At the heart of Keynesian economics is the idea of the multiplier effect. This idea basically states that if the government spends $100 in the economy, it actually creates more than $100 of economic output. This is because if the government spends $100 for labor as wages, the labor then uses that money to buy goods and services in the economy. That creates a multiplier effect. So while the government spent only $100, it could actually create $200 worth of economic output. So a single government dollar can create more than a dollar's worth of economic output. In contrast to the Austrians, the Keynesians support active government involvement during times of economic downturn. Keynesians argue that central banks should reduce interest rates and increase money supply during times of economic downturn to stimulate the economy. This is known as expansionary monetary policy. On the fiscal side, Keynesians argue for increased government spending and tax cuts during a recession. They believe that this could stimulate demand, which in turn leads to increased production, jobs, and economic growth. It's a model that was used in the 2008 mortgage crisis and in the 2020 global pandemic by a majority of countries around the world. While Austrians and Keynesians offer different perspectives on economic policy, they both have their own strengths and weaknesses. The optimal approach often depends on the economic scenario at hand. But by understanding these principles, we can make informed decisions and gain a richer understanding of economic trends and policies. Thanks for watching this video where we compare and contrast the two schools of thought of economics. I hope you learned something and this gave you a clear picture of both the philosophies. If you like this deep dive, consider subscribing. It really helps the channel. And until next time, keep learning and keep growing. Peace.